Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Buffalo Boys, a Western from 2018 that is a co-production between multiple countries that include Indonesia and Singapore. Now this film opens in 1860 California. Its two protagonists, a pair of brothers named Jamar and Suwo, have just finished working with their uncle on the US Transcontinental Railroad. Now, while riding a train on their journey back to Indonesia, the pair fight against a band of gangsters, foreshadowing what's to come. Now, upon arriving in Indonesia, Jamar and Suwo get caught up in the struggles of a Javanese village against an evil Dutch administrator named Captain Van Trach. Now, together, the brothers must fight Van Trach and his henchmen to free native Indonesians and colonial oppression. Now, outside of the two lead actors, who I was not that familiar with, you may notice some of the supporting actors in this. Now, if you've seen The Raid 2, Headshot, and The Night Comes For Us, a minimum of 4 actors from those films appear in Buffalo Boys. Zach Lee, Sonny Pang, Alex Abad, and Tio Pakusadewu. I don't know if I nailed that one. The supporting actress from May the Devil Take You is also in Buffalo Boys, and I enjoyed her in that movie. So some of these actors do play a big role in the story, while others are merely glorified cameos, but it was still fun to see those familiar faces. And the performances are good across the board, which, adds some quality to the film. The conflict in this film is very strong. Even though the villains themselves are not really developed much at all, they're basically mustache-twirling, wafer-thin caricatures, but you still get a good dose of oppression that's shown, and it makes you get on the side of the protagonists. It really makes you want to see these bad guys get taken down. And by the midpoint of the film, I was ready to see these scumbags get their just desserts. The dramatic aspect definitely reaches a boiling point around the 1 hour mark, meaning that the action at that point is just ready to explode. And that's when the biggest flaw of Buffalo Boys rears its ugly head. That's right, the biggest problem of this movie is the last thing that you would ever expect from a contemporary Indonesian action film, even a co-production from Indonesia. There's not enough action in this movie. Can you even believe what I'm saying right now? Because I can't believe it myself. There is not enough action in Buffalo Boys, which was pretty disappointing to me when I was watching it. The quality of the action is good, nothing great, but we basically just get, a few short action scenes that are peppered throughout the film, and the finale is not really satisfying or memorable. There were so many times during the second half of this movie where I was saying to my television, where is the action in this movie? Like, can we get to the action now, please? That's how I was feeling, especially during the second half of this film. In fact, one could argue that this is more of a drama than it is an action movie. And maybe it is. So I thought about it. And I said to myself, you know what? I need to assess this film based on what it is, not what I want it to be. Maybe I was wrong when I was expecting Buffalo Boys to be an action movie, even though the trailer kind of sold it as such. So I took a step back and I reassessed the film as a drama with a bit of action in it. But I still had problems with the second half of the film, and here's why. The script inflicts a lot of oppression on its protagonists. The bad guys are terrible human beings who murder and rape and do whatever they want to these villagers. And like I said previously, this film does a very good job of establishing that conflict. But after the 1 hour mark, it begins to feel very repetitive. And just when the film needs to do something else with its characters and its story, it decides to lay on oppression for another half hour on top of it. It becomes overkill at that point. And I started fidgeting in my seat. I was saying to myself, come on, guys, let's do something else here. I get it. These guys are scumbags. You drilled that into my head for the opening hour. I don't need to see more of this. You got to give me something else here. You know what I mean? And that's where the film suffers, I think. Now, if this film instead exploded with an action-packed second hour, this could have been an awesome flick. You know what I mean? But instead, the conflicts become overplayed and repetitive, and the resolution to the conflicts just kind of fizzles out near the end. You know what I mean? That aspect of Buffalo Boys is very unsatisfying, at least to me. But with that said, I moderately enjoyed this movie because the opening hour sets things up so well. You know, and there are a few decent action scenes during the second half, even though they're kind of short. But this is a very cautious recommendation I'm giving right here. You know, do not go into this movie expecting a lot of action, or even a moderate amount of action. You know what I mean? Because it will be a frustrating experience for you. Go into it expecting a Western drama about villager oppression, with a little dash of action that's peppered in here and there. You know what I mean? Once in a while. If you go in with that expectation, I think you might enjoy it. You know, kind of like I did. But man, this movie really could have used a lot more action. A lot more action could have been infused in here. So those are my thoughts. The film is currently available streaming in the United States. It's on Amazon and some other spots. So as always, I'll see you next time.